There's greater outrage, it seems,
At Facebook?
about what Facebook didn't do quick enough.
But you can't monitor every single person every single day.
Absolutely
I mean, I
right.
know Trump's working on that. I know some people
Enough said.
Like everybody else, we can't sit and rest on our laurels. We've won one game. They've still got three. We've got to go out and play better again tomorrow.
Welcome back to another edition of Enough Said. My name's Dan Barrero. Justin Guard is with me as usual, and Lori Fisher to get us started with, I think, a little puck talk.
Hi, guys. Wild players are holding on. They beat the St. Louis Blues in Game 4 of their first round playoff series. We just need 3 more straight wins. Can they do it? Game 5 is at home on Saturday. Dan, what do you think?
Apparently, Lori
she's not feeling the vibe.
works for the team. She went with the proverbial TV we. I guess
We
have
need to be
do that.
supportive.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's all of us.
You know what I'm thankful for? That we actually got a victory. Mainly because we don't have to listen anymore to how we outplayed them and still didn't beat them.
Yeah.
Better than outplaying and losing is outplaying and then actually winning the game. And look, whether they can actually pull this off, I don't know, but I do know on the basis of what took place last night that if they don't, they're going to be feel very bad.
You're talking about the Chicago Blackhawks losing.
Were swept.
They're out of there.
They couldn't even get the one game that the Wild got, meaning that the opportunity in the West to make a long and storied run is outstanding. And so there's your motivation for your club.
It's
but
true.
They got a long, you heard it from the coach, but he's right. They got a long way to go.
It is true that you're kicking yourself as you're watching for 2 reasons. Number one, that you gave up home ice advantage for the first 2 games, even though you outplayed them, or we outplayed them. But then you also see what was going on in Chicago at the very same time, and you said, we've been stressing out about this all year since they came in here in February and beat the Wild when the Wild were in first place still.
The team that knocked us off has knocked us off, what is it, 2 or 3 times?
3
I
times,
think, in the
yeah,
playoffs.
not last year, because that was not to be confused with Dallas, who knocked us out last year. So it's like doubly frustrating because you've missed out on your opportunity with home ice for the first time in a long time, and the team that you can't ever get by is now unavailable. The head coach, it was interesting to see him with the collar loose there. He seems a little looser. That's, to me, been one of the interesting things is loosey-goosey Boudreau, who everybody loves all year and who did a great job in the regular season. Everybody that's around that team, way more than we are, says the players are kind of loose. You go into their room, they're fine, they're joking around, the head coach is really tight. That surprised me a little bit.
That's because a lot of times people worry that if the coach is tense, then the team picks up the cue.
Doesn't seem like
there was nothing tense about the way they played in Game 4. They played a really good game, and it may well be that this is going to come down to goaltenders because for the first time in the series, our goaltender outplayed their goaltender, and we won the game. And so will that continue? That's the part I don't know. The door has been open a little. In St. Louis, I think they're panicking like the series is over, the door is completely open. About the media, especially. I don't know about the team. And so we'll see. I mean, you got a great opportunity. I mean, everybody, I think, looks at it as, obviously, if you win 5, then St. Louis has got to worry about wrapping it up at home.
They don't want to come
the
back
prospect of coming back here. But there's a reason this very rarely happens when you're down 3-0, even if you're a superior team, which I think most people think the Wild are, which is why they shouldn't be in this position in the first place.
So do you buy the pressure angle? Because you were kind of waffling on the pressure angle
quick
earlier
answer, and
this
then we're
week.
moving on.
That it was the pressure's all on St. Louis now.
I think the pressure's on both teams.
Still.
I do. I think that gets overplayed depending on which side you're on.
Okay, enough said.
We know Lori will be wearing a jersey if they win.
Apparently,
Game
Well,
5
only
for
if they
next
win.
week. Yeah,
Otherwise, she'll
you have
go
to
right off the
support
bandwagon
them.
if they
What's
don't.
wrong with that? Next up, time has really flown by. It's been a year since we learned that Prince died in his Paisley Park home. The investigation into his drug overdose continues, but this weekend is really about remembering Prince and his music and just what he means to Minnesota. A lot of purple celebrations underway. Justin?
Purple celebrations everywhere, and I've been reminded this week it wasn't just Minnesota. I feel like as much as we clearly like him, and we'll use we again, because he's one of us, as much as we loved him and identified with him, being at Mall of America earlier this week, there's people from all over the country, all over the world, just doing eavesdropping. They're trying to figure out what to do in town because they're in for this celebration. We talked about it a year ago. As much as he was identified with Minnesota, it was almost like because he was one of us, we maybe didn't think about him as globally or as big as the world did, right? I'm feeling that a little bit more this week.
I think it's a great point, and I think we talked about this when this tragic story broke, that I guess because he didn't have very many hits lately, that I had either forgotten or never realized how global his influence was musically in terms of how people felt. I mean, we do literally have people traveling from
all over.
I think I saw it on Fox 9 this morning. They interviewed a guy from London.
Yes.
Who came in with either his kid or a couple of relatives. And we're back to what we've learned, is that music is very important to people. And I'm hoping we can keep it there. That is my only concern. I worry that we get into the deification
we've
category,
lost that battle already here.
And so even if we've lost it, can we at least remind ourselves of that we don't have to go over the top, which we, unfortunately, whether it's local or national or international, we tend to do. To me, it should be about his musical legacy more than anything else, and not trying to turn him into something else.
It's funny you mentioned the maybe not as many hits towards the end, because I was reminded of it. You know, he was just a little too old for me to like totally get swept up into it, right? He came on in the 80s. You know, I was more of a 90s kid, so to speak. But going to the XL Energy Center within the last couple of weeks, there's a big monument to him. And he played the Civic Center back in the 80s like 5 nights in a row, you know, when he was coming up. And so, you know, he would do the stuff at the Dakota every once in a while. He would obviously do stuff at Paisley Park. But those big events, like he didn't really do those besides the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like it was hard. You got him on the radio and you got him at bigger events, but like just the actual concert events all the time that he used to do coming up, those weren't happening.
And the reminder, that's very true.
Final point.
You also learn a lot. I think we're seeing some clips that people find, whether it's YouTube or other places, of concerts or moments in concerts.
Good stuff.
That, again, I had lost track of or I didn't even know existed, which do point to the breadth of his musical talent. I mean, he played in one sort of his own genre, but he could do about 5 others.
I assume your purple shirt was being dry cleaned today?
Exactly.
That's why you didn't want to wear it? Okay. Mine too.
Next up, a big national story this week. A man in Cleveland randomly kills another man and posts the chilling video on Facebook. The shooter, who ended up killing himself, said he just snapped. Facebook removed the video 23 minutes after learning of it, but now they're launching a review for reporting harmful content. Dan?
Yeah, I guess, you know, it's an odd story in that there's greater outrage, it seems,
at Facebook
about what Facebook didn't do quick enough than the series of acts involved with an obviously very disturbed individual. And it strikes me, and maybe there could be better safeguards, maybe there's better ways to get this thing done fast, but don't we have to come to grips with the reality, which is technologically we're at a place where stuff is gonna get out, and sadly people are going to even manipulate it for the most evil of purposes, as we see in this video. And so how many you have parents who, I think, and I'm struggling with this already with a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Parents who are, you know, get worried about child abduction or if my kid's going to fall off a seesaw, when in all honesty, the scariest stuff that we have to deal with and that no filter is going to take care of 100% is what is coming into our kids
on the screens.
On the screen.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's a good answer. We want to think, oh, you put a filter.
It's really easy, yeah.
But in the end, it's going to be, I think, about knowing that they're going to see some stuff that you don't want them to, and you just do the best you can
educating,
to prepare
explaining
them. Because that's far scarier than the likelihood that your kid's going to get kidnapped.
Doesn't the 23-minute reaction to this from Facebook seem pretty quick? Doesn't it seem like they were on top of it?
Yeah.
Because how do you, now I know things take off and they go viral very quickly, but you can't monitor every single person every single day.
Absolutely.
I know Trump's working on that. I know some people are working on that. But so with all the millions of people that are using all these different social media things, it does annoy me a little that people get mad at Facebook.
I agree.
If you want to
that
say
was where the outrage was.
I know, and if you want to say they're manipulating fake news too easily, and we can all, that's a totally different conversation. But if someone's just going to hit the little live button and go live, we have no idea what they're going to say. Are we going to monitor every single time somebody jumps on it? I just think that's unrealistic.
The quote, and I don't know who said it first, information wants to be free. And that's the truth of our time. And I don't think there's only so much that anybody's going to be able to do about that. Why are we outraged by wanting to have access to all the...
He would always just throw ideas out, too. He said, hey, what if I did this? What would you think of this? And Garnett needed convincing to come here for the...
A poignant moment from earlier today on the floor at the Garden in Boston. Isaiah Thomas consoled by his close friend Avery Bradley, still trying to cope with the tragic loss of his 22-year-old sister China just yesterday.
TNT studio analyst Charles Barkley fires back over comments he made about Celtics guard Isaiah Thomas. Barkley said he was uncomfortable for Thomas, seeing him crying a few minutes before Sunday's game. It's a very sad story. Thomas was visibly shaken because his sister died in a car accident. She was just 22 years old the day before. Barkley came back swinging, calling critics, I think he used nitwits several times. He said he doesn't care what people think and that he reached out to Thomas and Thomas was okay with what he said. Justin?
Well, that, I think, is one of the big parts of it. If Charles has talked to Isaiah, and apparently everybody's in on this together, why do the rest of us really care? Why are we more concerned about Isaiah Thomas's thinking on this, or Charles Barkley's thinking about this? If the two of them,
we're more familiar with his thinking than he is.
Apparently we are, because that is what people are mad about. They're more mad at Charles, and Isaiah's mad at Charles, and it was about Isaiah. And honestly, uncomfortable is, you can take that a number of different ways. That video is hard to watch for a number of different reasons. It doesn't mean we shouldn't show it. It doesn't mean that you can't still feel bad, and it gives you a feeling of, man, it's supposed to. It's a visual that's supposed to give you some kind of emotions, but like a lot of things, we've lost complete control of it, and something Charles said got spun completely the wrong way.
Charles may not have explained
his
discomfort very well. Yes. That may have been part of the issue, but people rose too quickly to the Charles is being really insensitive here, and I think assuming that he was saying you're not allowed to cry in that situation if you're an athlete or if you're a male or whatever the case may be, which I don't think is what he was saying.
No.
I think what he was saying is if you make the decision to play, then your teammates are going to be naturally curious because they're still playing the game and they're still going to count the results. It's not like that game didn't count.
Yeah, and it's a
playoff game.
In fact,
the first two games of this series have both counted, and they're down 2-0. The Celtics are to the 8th seed. And so I think people made the assumption that, I think he's just saying, well, if this is indicative of your not being able to get it together, then maybe you shouldn't play. That's how I took it. Now, as it turns out, he played really well, and that's the danger of saying it on the basis of visual cues that may or may not indicate whether a guy is ready. But I thought there was a great overreaction to from the sensitive crowd that you got to let, you know what, this is tragedy. We all know it's a tragedy. I think Charles Barkley was well aware of it.
He understands that he has a family. He's probably had to play going through situations like that as well, right?
He's tired of suffering the nitwits and the fools.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is when you're on TV as much as Charles Barkley is, you probably do, like if I'm looking at it at his angle, everything you say, people hear what they want to hear or it gets magnified. And Charles, he's one of those polarizing guys. So sometimes people think, well, here's an opportunity for us to get Charles because of what he said about other people or how he acted or whatever. When you're on TV as much as Charles is, you're going to end up in the crosshairs every once in a while.
Enough said.
That's it.
Let's move on. It doesn't sound like Kevin Garnett has the best relationship with the Timberwolves right now. He told the Associated Press that he believes promises were broken when he left the team last summer. And he's also upset about the way the team honored the late Flip Saunders. Dan?
This is the more I think about this and the more I digest it, and we've talked about it some on the radio as well, the more ridiculous I think KG is being. And I hate to say that because at the root of this is he's still grieving over the loss of Flip Saunders. Yeah. And Flip Saunders' death is really what this all comes back to. But the idea that an adult veteran player who's been around, he's not 22, doesn't understand that everything was likely to change the moment Flip died, because that's who Flip is basically engineered the return of KG. The relationship between Taylor and KG were still not really repaired. Flip
Which I still don't totally understand on the front end, too, but we can argue about that later.
Honestly, he has to know that at that point, first of all, Flip wasn't going to let him run the team, and KG is making it sound like he wanted to decide whether Sam Mitchell and Milton Newton were dismissed. And the owner is not going to allow KG to make that call. I don't blame him at a point where a very good coach is available, and he went out and got him. And why he can't get that sometimes tragedies happen that create circumstances that no one could have prepared for. There's no conspiracy against KG here.
No, especially he's there probably forever will be, depending on where Karl Anthony Towns goes and Wiggins goes, the identity of the franchise forever, right? For as long as this franchise is here, he will always be the first
Karl
person
Anthony
you think
Towns,
about.
If he leads them to a title, then that will change.
But even then, that would be Garnett influenced him,
or
and this one's for
Celtics
KG
to a title,
or another team. Maybe he goes to Los Angeles. I don't know. What we'll never know is exactly what Flip Saunders told Kevin Garnett to get in there, because you knew Flip very, very well. Flip said a lot of stuff. Flip talked to anybody. Yeah. He would always just throw ideas out, too. He said, hey, what if I did this? What would you think of this? And Garnett needed convincing to come here for the last time, because what it was for Garnett to come here, if I remember correctly, the sign that my window for winning championships is over. In Boston, he was still trying. Even in Brooklyn, they tried to put the band back together a little bit with Paul Pierce. to be contenders. When he came here, it was a signal that I am in a different phase of my career, and the competitive part of it is over. I'm now mentor guy, right? So he needed some adjusting on that. He needed some being talked to about that. But we don't know what Flip said to get him to eventually
again,
convince
we know. What we do know is that Flip was going to continue to run that team.
To be the coach.
He may have used KG as a conduit, but he was going to run that team. That part, I don't think there's any negotiation.
It's tough because he should be part of the organization somehow. His number should be up there. There should be a statue. We'll see.
How about those Twins? Next topic. They lost 6-2 Thursday night against the Indians. Twins manager Paul Molitor also ejected for the first time this season. It really is early in the season, but how do you guys think the team's doing?
Do you notice it's very, very subtle? Do you notice that on the Twins, Lori said they?
They,
not
she's
we.
Separating.
Interesting.
Separating herself
from the situation. The team that's suddenly struggling after the big, what do we start, 5-1?
Yeah. Great start.
I don't want to say I told you so. But you
got
mad at me. It is early.
I didn't get mad at you.
Yeah, you did.
People did.
Some people did.
A lot of people did. Well,
they started
they're
5-1, and they thought, okay, we really we're back. We may not be done on the basis of what has happened since, but my favorite quote so far this year comes from your guy Molly.
Yep.
Somebody, because until yesterday, Joe Mauer had not had an extra base hit.
Got a double.
And Molly said, I think it must have been before the game. Somebody asked him, "Well, do you think you think Joe's frustrated by that, or that bothers him?" And Molly said, I don't really think Joe gets frustrated about anything.
Tells you a lot.
He may have meant it as a compliment, like even keel guy. It couldn't have been a better rip, a more complete and searing indictment of everything you need to know about Joe Mauer's personality. Because I don't think it bothers him.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think it has any impact on him at all.
Well, I'm impressed that Rome is burning around the whole team. Pitching's not going very well. Nobody's hitting very well, including Sano now. He's struggled a little bit. I'm impressed at your ability to bring it all back to Joe.
Well, it was just
you've had practice. Well, it is, but we've had that before. We've had a lot of quotes like that before. Pitching has gotten a lot messier, as we've mentioned. Even
Gibson
Santana,
especially.
Santana went 6 yesterday. Took him 113 pitches. That is at the crux of it yesterday. He pitched well, but could only go for 6 because he threw so many balls, and the bullpen ended up imploding.
We started playing a little better teams, and we started losing more games. Who knew?
Yeah. Is Detroit in town? Detroit, are they good?
It's Detroit this weekend. Yeah. I think everybody's kind of actually bunched up in the division, although Cleveland's obviously legit.
You've got Santana, and then who else do you feel good about in the rotation right now? Santiago's okay.
Yeah, Santiago's been okay.
He's gone 5 or 6 a couple of times, but after that, I'm with you until Barrios comes up and maybe ignites
Gibby's
him a little bit.
Gibby's a mess already again. Hughes had, I think, one good start, and then he got messy. And I mean, in the end, I do think the hitting should get better, but you start worrying about Buxton, because this is supposed to be.
I know.
It's 5-tool players. I think he was 6-tool.
They added a 6. Nobody knows what it was, but he had it.
But one of the tools is not showing itself. I mean, his hit, and he's not the first alleged superstar to have issues like this, but rarely has someone been this inept at the plate for this long who's supposed to be this good.
And it's weird.
The formula is he's got to be part of the success.
And it's weird that at AAA he doesn't.
How do you decide
How do they vote on it?
How do they vote on it? Who's on the committee? She's a beautiful woman. There's a lot of other beautiful women. I don't know.
Has been for a long time.
I don't have.
A lot to get to in the lightning round. Let's start out with, first up, 21st Century Fox gets rid of cable talk show host Bill O'Reilly. This after sexual harassment allegations. The O'Reilly Factor had been on since 1996. Tucker Carlson will get the 8 o'clock spot. Dan.
Well, the conventional wisdom from among a lot of the righties will be that he got basically nailed by the left-wing conspiracy.
Yeah.
And in the end, what I think is fairly clear is Bill O'Reilly got himself. And he's a big, let's face it, that whole show is built on the old accountability and holding people accountable. And eventually, the chickens are apparently going to come home to roost. And Fox must have either found something out or they decided on the basis of the advertisers.
Well, they put it in his contract, his most recent one, that if something else came of it. Now, let's play a quick hypothetical here.
Quick.
How many settled sexual harassment cases would it take for you to stop doing that just generally? After you settled like 1 or 2, maybe we'll come back to that
Okay, you think about that, Dan. Next up, Justin.
I don't even know where to begin
For
with
me,
that.
it might be 1, and I'd say, you know what, I probably should learn my lesson.
5.
Yeah.
Good call on that. The NFL releases the 2017 schedule. How does it fare for the Vikings, Justin?
We'll find out. They have to play the Green Bay Packers, which is troubling because they're in the division, and I still think they're the best team. I like the fact that we're the Thanksgiving game again. I'm kind of annoyed because it's nice, because then you can definitely watch. At my house, if a local team's not playing, it's a tough sell to get that game on the TV during the holidays. So now, at least I have to watch it.
Okay,
because
party
the
at the Garden.
uncomfortable silences are not as prevalent because you can just concentrate on the game.
You said that.
Dan and I will be waiting for the invite. The New England
Patriots
go to the White House to celebrate the Super Bowl win and meet the president. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer also got a good laugh. Take a listen.
An opportunity. Can I just... I think I got this, but thank you. Maybe. All right, thanks, man. I'll see you in a minute. Hold on one second. All right, that was cool.
Did you guys see that?
You know,
absolutely, good moment.
It was a good moment, and probably a moment of levity that Spicer could use. I was almost hoping he was going to actually invite him to take some questions.
Is that unprofessional?
From the yeah, but
I would have.
In the moment, I think you could have some fun.
I
would
have. Yeah. Did you notice how scared he looked on the front end?
You think he thought it was Trump first?
Who's coming? Yeah, or who's coming? Who's coming through that door?
So you guys probably know who wasn't there. Tom Brady. He said he had a personal family matter. Justin.
Yeah, that's his mom. We can all, I think, speculate, right? We know that his mom has been sick for a long time, and it's been interesting to see. We're trying to do it again, the overcooked Trump controversy of the day. The photos from 2015 with the Patriots to the photos of this year.
Stupid.
And we've had to explain why it's smaller. Well, first of all, Brady's not there. We know why. Secondly, apparently all the team employees were in the photo the first time. This time they were on the south lawn. Nobody cared to mention that.
Different years, there have been different number of players. Yeah, there's so much worth
we don't
getting into on
We don't
Trump.
need to
this
take
is
attendance.
Sophomoric and childish, I think. And the New York Times, they started it.
Yeah.
They started the whole thing. It's a stupid
we don't need to take attendance.
No,
Next up, People magazine names Julia Roberts the world's most beautiful woman. This is the record 5th time she won. Her joke is that George Clooney has only won twice, so she kind of has him there. Dan?
True.
Well, how do you decide
How
this?
do they vote on it?
How do they vote on it? Who's on the committee? She's a beautiful woman. There's a lot of other beautiful women. I don't know.
Has been for a long time.
I don't have any.
Don't we always say, like, you take 1A, I'll take 1B?
Do you lobby for the position?
I don't think Julia needs to at this point.
Well, she doesn't age.
She's kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
Well,
women should be allowed to age, Lori.
They should be.
And she doesn't, so okay, we'll just stop it there.
Another,
okay, last up.
That's gonna be
what
a good
will
main
people do to win
road.
something? A woman in Austin, Texas wins a new Kia Optima for being part of a car kissing contest. 50 hours. Here's the deal, though. Like 6 people made it those 50 hours.
Yeah.
So they had to like pull a name out of the hat. It's like, oh, what a bummer.
I would be frustrated if I went through all of that.
Well, but did they know? Are you saying that they didn't know up front?
I'm guessing they probably did.
Hoped that everyone else was going to drop out.
Yeah.
Well, people, let's be honest. When
they'll do anything
to free
for
stuff, they'll do anything, and they'll probably even go a lot further than that.
Maybe an idea for the state fair, something we should do, because we're always giving away things.
We are
at the
looking
state
for
fair.
ideas at the state fair.
We're looking for stunts. We're looking for different topics. How long would you last for a new car?
For a new car, you got to stay on it forever.
Yeah.
Except they cheated; they all had brakes
anyway.
They got brakes.
I know.
So
well, you have
what's
to
the
now
point?
because people have died doing these things.
Oh, then you got lawsuits.